Have you ever seen someone do a lot of work with no outcome of any value, where they just had all this activity but then accomplished nothing? That used to be me all the time. When everything is a priority, nothing is actually a priority. You get nothing done. So make sure you're actually focused on something that matters. The main thing must be the main thing.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by Unlocking Greatness with Jacob Emery, a coaching community built for those ready to become the strongest version of themselves. Weekly calls, proven playbooks, and a community built to grow. Greatness is not given, it's unlocked. Join us today at jacobemery.com or DM coach at jacobemery44 on all social media platforms.
If you're always busy, have you already failed? Being busy doesn't mean you're being productive. Just because you spend a lot of time working on something doesn't mean you're actually making a lot of progress. This is really hard for a lot of people to understand. Working 12 hours a day is great if you're being productive 12 hours a day. If 4 hours of that time is spent talking to Joe down the street and the neighbor and Susan across the hallway, whoever it is, if you're spending all this time not actually applying it to the work, then you have 12 hours of busy work. 4 hours of that is distraction. 8 hours of that likely isn't execution either. You're probably getting 4 hours of actual work done in a 12-hour period. So why spend all that time there doing that? Why not execute for 12 hours or scale it back and be really productive for 8? Time spent does not equal productivity. Whenever someone says, oh yeah, busy, I always think, are you busy or productive? Because are you spending time executing, or are you spending time executing, or are you just spending time fiddling your thumbs? Are you spending time being productive, or are you just spending time doing busy work, or not even doing any work at all? Don't confuse busy with productivity. Focus on outcomes, focus on progress, execution, not time spent. A lot of time as leaders, we create this busyness as a sign of success. Working weekends, working nights, working 3 a.m., all these different things that we put pride into as far as time spent. But really, it's all about the outcome. If you're spending a lot of time on something with low value, then you're wasting your time. Executing alone isn't enough either, because executing a 10 out of 10 on a 1 out of 10 value product is only a value of 1 out of 10. It doesn't matter how good you are at it. So you got to make sure that you're not just busy, but very productive with what matters the most. So you got to focus and execute on what the priorities are. Have you ever seen someone do a lot of work with no outcome of any value, where they just had all this activity, but then accomplished nothing? That used to be me all the time. When everything is a priority, nothing is actually a priority. You get nothing done. So make sure you're actually focused on something that matters. The main thing must be the main thing. There's always a bigger picture too. If you're being directed to do something in a business from a higher level, you probably don't even know what all is coming. You probably don't know everything that they are focused on, but you have a big piece of that puzzle that probably just needs to be considered and done the way that it was performed before, the way that you know it needs to be done. And so when you think about projects, do you have a time where you worked really hard but didn't actually accomplish anything? Or you spend all this time to get an outcome that you didn't get an opportunity at? It can be confusing and frustrating, but it can also lead to burnout. So make sure you know the main thing, you know what your focus should be, and you're not getting out of that priority box. A lot of people don't mind working hard and being busy or productive, but people don't like to do something without a clear intent of why. This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by R&R Pipeline Inc., an infrastructure company. Join our team today at rrpipelineinc.com. What is the purpose? If you don't have clarity about what you're doing and why you're doing it, it seems like you're doing something that's very busy related and very unvalued or unnecessary. So confusion, it comes from that unclear workload, and then it creates friction, resistance, too much in your plate where your capacity is already full. Clarity creates speed. Clarity creates opportunity. creates a purpose, gives you a reason why. So every day or every week, do you have clarity about what you're doing and why you're doing it? And how do you eliminate all the busy work or distractions that don't matter? We often sacrifice what's urgent for what's important. Let me say that again. We often sacrifice what's urgent for what is important. Don't sacrifice what seems to be urgent in the moment for the big important things. A lot of times someone else's dumpster fire isn't really that bad. Someone else's urgency does not constitute the reason that we step away from what's important in that moment. There's going to be times you will, but not every time that people solve their problems. Focus is a leadership decision. How your leadership allows you to focus on tasks is directly correlated in how they provide clarity for what you should execute on. Improves when decisions are few and clear. You don't have a lot to think about, but big ticket items that are very short on the list, very clear on what to do, and then you just go execute. So busy teams a lot of times don't need more effort. It's not an effort thing. It's not a time thing or a capacity thing a lot of time. They need to subtract and simplify to add the value that you need to get the job done. Better leadership, better clarity, simpler ways to get there, and watch everything turn around. Stop telling yourself one day. It isn't about one day, it's about day one. Today should be your day one. What you need isn't another day. What you need is clarity with the community to give you confidence to unlock your greatness. That's what the group coaching program is all about. Confidence, clarity, via commitment. Hit the show link in the notes. Let's start unlocking your greatness now, today.